Bam! Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who are joining us here on the broadcast tonight. Big shout out to all of you who are watching on the replay on Periscope or on demand on YouTube. Also, we welcome into you. Welcome. All you guys watching maybe for the first time on Twitch, we thank you very, very much. And of course, everybody on Facebook Live, you know, y'all are my champions. Y'all been with me for a minute, and we thank God for all those of you who are doing that as well. And it's just cool to be back out here. Another day that the Lord has made, and I'm enjoying it. That's why I say my ministry show, because I'm actually a real live minister. I do a ministry show called Clarion Call, and every time I get on the ministry show, I always say the same thing. I start the broadcast with Psalms. I think it's 118 and 24. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I don't know about you, but I'm rejoicing, number one, because I made it through another day. I am off work, get off at about right before 6 o'clock. Came home, my daughter, I live with her, slamming dinner. She had some kind of like chicken stew thing working with the broccoli in there and the carrots and the potatoes. And man, it was incredible. Very, very tasty and good meal for me to have because, you know, I'm supposed to actually all of us are not supposed to eat like after 9 o'clock. Now, I'm not guaranteeing it tonight. I may be not eating after 9:30, but the main thing is my main meal, you know, that heavy meal that you're not supposed to eat at night. Thank God I got it in already. So hopefully you have too, or if you're maybe trying to throw a little bit bite in here while you're watching the Real Talk Sports Show, I ain't mad at you. So again, like I say again, we appreciate you for joining us here. Lots of stuff to talk about in sports. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is the college football playoffs. We're going to get into that. We're going to bring back my tag team partner, Miles Tyson. He's going to be joining us to talk about some college football. We'll talk a little NBA. Believe it or not, the NBA season is about to start December 22nd. It's on and popping. The first home game for our Atlanta Hawks here, December 28th. That's going to be an interesting look. Hopefully we'll have our man, Deshaun Tate, talk to us about that. Let's go to social media and see what the comments are on social media. Hey, we got brother Carl Eli Smith. Now, in case y'all don't know who that is, that's the guy behind the scenes back at the studio, because also I want to welcome everybody who's listening only on WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. Also on WIGOAM.com. Also on the free TuneIn Radio app. Now, here's the cool thing about TuneIn. It's a free app. If you don't have it, download it right now. Well, not necessarily right now, but download it. It's a free app. And when you do, you go and put in WIGO 1570 in the search engine, and voila, you'll find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. All right, so one of the questions we'll be talking about during the college football segment, that's probably going to be somewhere between the 8:20 and 8:30 p.m., somewhere in that window. We'll probably start talking about that. The question that we're going to ask is, big buzz about the Big Ten champion. Everybody's pretty much kind of penciling in Ohio State, even though they're having to play a very, very tough Northwestern squad. And again, we'll talk about that a little later. And one of our questions tonight will be, should the Big Ten champ play in the college football playoffs with only 6 wins? Especially when you have some SEC teams that might have 7 wins, like Florida with maybe 2 losses. Georgia, same thing, 7-2 possibly if they get another game in. So what should we do? Texas A&M. They could actually not go to the SEC championship. Matter of fact, they won't go because Alabama at 8-0 is already pegged in for that. But imagine Texas A&M 8-1, and they're out. And Michigan, Lord have mercy. Ohio State is in at like 6 wins. So what do you think about that? We're going to talk about that later on, like I said, about the 6:20 or the 6:30 hour. What your thoughts are about the whole idea about the college football playoffs. Also, we're going to talk a little NFL. A spectacular game last night. Shootout of epic proportions between the Ravens and the Browns. I call them like the old Browns and the new Browns, because for a lot of you guys that don't know, some of you young cats, especially millennials, probably don't know that the Baltimore Ravens are with the original Cleveland Browns. Yeah, so back in 1995, Art Modell, the owner of Cleveland, got into a big beef with the mayor. I think at the time his name was Mike White. They wanted a new stadium. They said, we ain't doing it. And he said, I'm out of here. Baltimore gave him the hookup, and he moved the Browns to Baltimore, and they became the Baltimore Ravens. Because what the NFL did was, because the Browns were such a legendary program, I shouldn't say program, think about college sports, such a legendary name, they said you can leave, but you can't take the name with you. The name stays with the city, hence the Baltimore Ravens, not the Baltimore Browns. And of course, the new Cleveland Browns is on and popping. Baker Mayfield, after all that shit everybody threw him on the bus, he's playing quite well right now, Mr. Mayfield. So, again, it should be very, very interesting in the NFL. And so we'll look forward to talking about that. And again, we're also going to be talking about college football, the idea of, who Oh, there we go. Woo! Sorry about that. My mic got muted. I was so irritated and trying to get that guy off the air that accidentally muted my mic. But thank God, StreamYard warned me and said, "Excuse me, your mic is muted." So thank God for the warning that my mic was muted. Anyway, like I said, guys, we appreciate all those of you who are watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, watching on Twitch. Y'all, Twitch, I'm going to start following people. Everybody's telling me if I'm on Twitch, I should be dealing more with esports. So I'm looking for you. Who should I be covering esport? Who's the biggest name in esport right now? Because I have no idea. So if you guys know, please, who should we cover in esport for you Twitch watchers? Let me know. We'd love to cover them. Love to bring them on and see what's cooking and what's happening. I ask you guys another question too, really quickly. So, like I said, talking basketball started now. You see basically college basketball full throttle. Teams have played, I think, about 7 or 8 games. NBA about to start. So the question is, would you go watch a game live and in person, something like an indoor game like basketball? Would you go? That's my question. Would you go to a game right now, the way things are? Would you go to a live indoor? Because outdoor, I think, is, I don't want to say like safe like COVID, like going somewhere and disappears in the outdoor, but I would think that COVID in the outdoor, you have a lesser chance because you have the air and the breeze from the outside is going to, kind of pull away some of that spittle. Hopefully it doesn't pull it towards your face or nose. But basically, a lot of it's going to go up into the air. So that's my question to you. If you had an opportunity right now, if someone said, look, I'm going to give you free tickets, free like courtside tickets to any NBA, any college game, would you go? Okay, so that's the question. Would you go and watch a indoor game? I'll put a basketball game, indoor basketball game, NBA, or college basketball. Would you watch it? And if not, why wouldn't you watch it? If so, why would you watch it? Again, you're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you live on the radio on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570 on the dial. You also, of course, are watching us on various platforms, including YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live, and Periscope, which is Twitter TV. And big shout-outs, big props to those of you who are watching the replay on Periscope. So we appreciate you so much, and we thank you for joining us here on the broadcast. So again, tonight, I'm really kind of looking for your feedback. We're winging and swinging tonight. Want to hear what you want to talk about. If you have a question, pop it up in there on your comments on social media, and we'll respond to the question. We're going to have some guests on a little bit later on in the show. We look to have Deshaun Tate. Hopefully will be joining us. My old partner, for those of you who go back with us, back in the day, Miles Tyson, the Devious Deacon, will be joining us. He's just finishing up his show. He's splitting it off from me, him and the other young guys. They've all now doing their own show in the No Sports Talk Radio. They're also on WIGO 1570, but Miles is heading to the house, getting straight, make sure he's mic'd up, got his camera set up right, and he's going to be joining us, like you said, probably around the 8:20 hour to talk about college football. We're going to chop it up. I'd like to get your guys' opinions about what you think about this whole thing with the college playoffs. Can I tell you something? All this stuff right now going on, everything that we're doing, whether it be NFL, college football, NBA, don't get me wrong, it's two things that are driving this. Seriously, two things that are driving this. The two things that are really driving this is, one, it's about money. Second thing that's driving it is it's about money. Third thing driving it is about money. Fourth thing driving this is crowd control. What do you mean by crowd control? So without getting too off into the weeds here, there's a concept called bread and circus that the Romans came up with back in the day, and I always consider the United States to be the penultimate version of the Greco-Roman empires from back in the day. You know, the quote the high mark of civilization. Anyway, so back then what the Romans did was, because like the United States, they had conquered a lot of different territories. They had a very diverse population that spanned across a lot of territory. And to kind of keep people in line without constantly having to have a huge military force, they came up with the idea of bread and circus. Okay, so that's why like you have the huge coliseums. They understood that if we could provide like free bread, so they would give the people like bread and sometimes wine, and entertainment, i.e. in the Coliseum, where they would have, you know, you've seen the stories, Maximus, all those different things where sadly people were killed. Many times Christians were killed, thrown to the lions, all kind of stuff. But all that was for the people's sport, to keep them entertained and to keep their mind off the oppression of the Roman rule. And hence the terminology called bread and circus. Well, some of that's the reason why we have sports playing right now, is because the way the country had gotten with all the kind of social unrest and the pandemic and the protests, this nation, I don't know if you realize, about to explode. It was like, wow! So they said we have to get these sports back out here so that this nation doesn't implode itself. So that's just the minister's take on the whole thing. I had to kind of get on that for just a second. But that's why I really think a lot of this stuff is going on. But let's face it, we all missed it. Even though it looks real crazy watching professional sports with no fans and seeing like the cardboard cutouts, people like, and famous people in the audience, which they might, you know, I've been to hockey and we get famous people from different sports and entertainment there, but just look kind of weird, you know, having like a stadium that's designed to fit 10, 15, 20,000 people, and you have like these cardboard cutouts. So anyway, like I said, guys, it's going to be interesting take here. Lots of stuff going on. Like I said again, it is just fantastic that we're able to be out here tonight. And we got an open mic. We just got word from one of our guests that they might be delayed. So we might take an early break and get set for them to come on and join us here. Again, you're watching the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you live right here on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570. We also are on YouTube Live. We're also on Facebook Live, those of you watching there. We're on Twitch. That's right. We are actually on Twitch. And we are on Periscope, which is Twitter TV. And a big prop shout out to those of you watching on Twitter TV. Watching also the replay on Periscope. Thank you so much for watching us and joining us here. And we thank everybody that allows me to share this broadcast on their various group pages and so forth. I mean, that's really what kind of the engine that drives this show. We're able to share this among multiple platforms. So speaking of that, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to a good word from one of our sponsors. They actually sponsored our high school football, but they continue to sponsor us and sponsor the station through the holiday season. The one and only Allen Vigil Ford. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here for more. And let's listen to a few words from the happy folks at Allen Vigil Ford. Stay tuned for more. Don't go away at all. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
And we are back. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you live from the studio of 1570, AM 1570, WIGO Atlanta's Incredible Radio. We also are broadcasting online on multiple portals on WIGOAM.com. We're also on broadcasting on RealTalkSports.net. You can just go on there, click on the Listen Live button, and bam, you'll be able to hear us loud and clear. Also, we're on the free TuneIn Radio app. So if you have that app, you know what to do. Go into the search engine, put in WIGO 1570, and voila, you'll find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. And again, big props and big shout out to all those of you who are watching on the replay on Periscope. So thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, guys, so my questions that I was looking to ask you guys tonight are the following. First of all, my question is, who would go and watch a basketball game, indoor game right now? Okay, who would go? Would you go watch a game? That's my question. Would you watch a basketball game right now? Would you go indoors? Considering that we've had a spike in the COVID, but it does appear that we have a vaccine now being distributed. Matter of fact, it has hit the shores of Georgia and other places. So that's my question. Would you go to a game? I'm typing in right now for those of you who are watching, saying, why is his eyes darting around? That's what I'm doing. I'm typing it in right now. Would you go to a NBA or college football game right now? Or what game would you go watch? Would you go watch any sport right now? If somebody say, hey, here the tickets are free, no problem, you set to go, would you in fact go and go to a game? So would you go to a game? A question, yes or no? You go ahead and answer, type your comments in on social media, and I'll be more than happy to pop them on the screen, and we'll be able to see those comments loud and clear. So again, that's my question. Would you go to a NBA or any other indoor sporting event or concert? Would you go right now? Because, it's starting to spool up again. I see a lot of people starting to get more out in the atmosphere. Like I know where I work at, Allen Visual Ford, we are starting to get more invites now for people doing things actually live and in person. So that's my question to you. Are you back in that groove now? I'm starting to get back out here, in the mix. Or am I still, concerned about the COVID and I'm staying in the house right now? So that's my big question for you. Let's hit it up on social media right now. So hopefully you guys will see it. I'll put it up on the screen so everybody will be able to see it in just a moment. But that's the question. Would you go to a game or any other indoor event for that matter? If you would, let me know. Pop it up in the screen. We'd love to hear back from you. Please, ma'am, please, sir, go right ahead and do that. We'll put it up on social media as well. Here's the question. Would you go to the NBA game or any other indoor event? Yes or no? And I'd like to know your answer why you would go or why you would not go. That's my big question to you. So would you go and watch an indoor game? Let me know what you think. Love to have your thoughts and comments on the air tonight. Hey, the other thing too is that just to kind of give myself a shameless plug, I also do another show called Issues and Insights. So tomorrow night we're going to be talking SLR. We have a new segment, a new show called SLR, Sex, Love, and Relationships. Woo! It's going to get hot and heavy. We're going to have several women on that are going to be talking about life after divorce. So check that out. Go to WRTS FM channel. I'll put it on later the next time we have a break so you guys can see that. I'd love to have you guys join us tomorrow night and to check us out on Issues and Insight. Love to have you guys join us. All right, so let's talk a little NBA. First of all, let's talk about our Atlanta Hawks. Hawks have totally revamped their team. They brought in several outstanding players from other teams to kind of mix in the mix. They got some guys that are veteran players to mix in with their young crew that they have. And so what do you think the Hawks are going to do here in the postseason? Do you think that they, can make some noise here? Is this Hawks team good enough to get to the playoffs this year? It certainly seems on paper they should be. You would think this team would be good enough to get to the playoffs. They have a healthy John Collins, hopefully no suspensions for PEDs. You have a healthy Trae Young. These two guys had developed a real synergy in their first couple of years, and I think that before the suspension of John Collins last year for 25 games, the Hawks actually could have slipped into the bubble playoffs last year. But that's really the question now. Have they brought enough guys like with Clint Capella and with Chris Dunn, guys who are known as defensive stalwarts? Is that going to give the Hawks what they need to get to the next level, to get to the playoffs? Because one of the things that the Hawks really struggled with was defense. The Hawks were terrible on defense. They just, and really, can I tell you, since I've been covering, this is going back since 2014, the Hawks just they've not been able to assemble a cast of characters that really want to do the gritty work, except for that team from that run that Coach Bud here, Coach Budenholzer, who's now actually with Milwaukee, that run from about 2004 2014 to 2017, where the Hawks really had a very well balanced team. Matter of fact, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, it's shocking to believe that just 5 years ago, the Hawks actually got to the Eastern Conference Championship and were the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. That's right, the lowly Atlanta Hawks, I mean, they've been lowly recently, were the number one seed in the NBA Eastern Division. They won 60 games. Matter of fact, to this day, they still hold the record of the only team to go undefeated for a month. In the month of January 2015, the Atlanta Hawks, not the Boston Celtics, not the Lakers, not the Miami Heat, not any team with LeBron James on it. The Atlanta Hawks went 19-0. And I remember going to cover a game in February, later that month, or it might have been in January, where the Golden State Warriors are coming to town. And check out this, the headlines actually said, could this be a possible NBA Finals matchup? And they were talking about the Hawks. So we know and have experienced outstanding basketball here in Atlanta. The question is, has Travis Schlenk been able to put together the pieces with the young crew that he's got, with Collins and with Trae Young and with Kevin Huerter and the crew that they have here, the Cam Reddish, do they have enough with the new pieces they brought in, like Chris Dunn and Clint Capella? Do they have enough to make a playoff run? And when I say playoff run, to get not only to the first round, but possibly win a series. Is this Hawks team good enough to do it? I think that if they don't have any injuries, they have a shot. They have a shot to go to the playoffs. And they have a shot to, it's going to be tough if they're an 8 seed, but certainly if they're a 7 seed or 6 seed, anything can happen in the playoffs. So this is a team that definitely has the potential of being able to get to the postseason and possibly make some noise. So we're gonna, love to hear your guys' thoughts about that. What do you think about the Hawks? Can they get to the playoffs? And if so, can they make some noise once they get there? That's the big question, and I think they can. Of course, the other question we talking about the NBA is LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. Can they repeat? I'll tell you one thing. AD, the unibrow, he rolling deep. I saw him on Instagram. He got a brand new Bentley. Brand spanking new Bentley. Let's go here to social media here for a second here. We have some comments. And we got our man, Affiliate Man, talking about Matt Ryan go. Now, I don't know whether he means Matt Ryan go like in a good way or Matt Ryan got to go. I'm not sure. But those are the comments off of Periscope for Affiliate Man. He said Matt Ryan go. So we're going to talk about that. Matter of fact, we got D. Orlando Ledbetter. Like we like to do it. We always bring him on to let's talk to you guys about what is happening with the Hawks, because he's the embedded beat writer. Let's go ahead and flip back to social media again, going to Periscope. And Affiliate Man said he got to go. He got to go. Listen, Affiliate Man, hey, you got to stay with us because y'all bring D. Orlando Ledbetter. He's the embedded Falcons beat writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He's the guy that when we go to press conferences, he always gets the first question in. So definitely want to tune back in. He should be back on the show about the 8:40 hour. And then for the remainder of the show, we talk nothing but Falcons. So definitely drop back in. Affiliate Man, check him out. D. Orlando Ledbetter. He's the guy that does cover 9 at 9. And said, yep. He said, yep. The Affiliate Man said, about to get that popcorn in because we are going to talk about Matt Ryan. We're going to talk about what the Falcons should do with him. Certainly they can't necessarily cut him. A lot of guys, cut him. You can't really do that because they got too much money kind of, built into his situation. So they can't do that. Also, let's talk about what they should do with Julio Jones. All that stuff is going to be talked about here in the second half when we get into the meat of our NFL and Falcons coverage. So you guys don't want to go away. Pretty soon we're going to bring in our main man. He used to be with us on the Real Talk Sports Show. He was like, well, we had a nickname for him. Like me, he's a man of ministry, a deacon in his church. We said, well, he might have been well behaved in the church, but he's up to mischief on our show. We call him the devious deacon. Miles Tyson is trying to get himself set up, get all his Wi-Fi together so he can join us here, hopefully within the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. But yeah, man, it's like I said, the one thing that I have to say about being here in Atlanta I'm not sure what it is about Metro Atlanta teams. It's even seeped up through to Athens and Georgia. But there's something about I don't know what, everybody wants to be a Southern gentleman. I don't know if people want to maintain the status quo. But here, everybody wants to hang on to someone that's done well, but not great. You know, it's just a real strange thing here. Let's go to Periscope for a second. Affiliate man, he said, can you ask the AJC guy who he thinks is the leading GM candidate? Absolutely. No doubt. Matter of fact, what we'll do is we have your comments archived, so we'll pop them back up when he gets on, because that is going to be a big question going forward is, who the Falcons are going to get for GM, who they're going to get for head coach. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. So again, guys, you need to stay tuned here. About in the 8:45 time frame, we'll be talking Falcons football with D. Orlando Ledbetter from the AJC Sports. He also does cover 9 on 9 every Wednesday. That's his blog where he brings in some of the interviews he's had with Falcons players, some of the stuff that he's seen at the camp, so all that kind of stuff. And so again, we're excited about bringing him on the broadcast, like I said, about 8:45 to talk to Falcons and the NFL. Getting back here to my own thoughts, before we go to the 8:30 break about being here in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta. The teams here, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of being loyal. Matter of fact, my mother told me my name, she named me Jonathan because she always wanted to be loyal like Jonathan was to David in the Bible. He was like David's boy, right-hand man, even though he technically was going to be, or his family was going to be overtaken and replaced by David as the kings of Israel, which they were at that time. Not getting too deep in the Bible, but bottom line is, I'm all for being loyal because that's my name. I get it. But the thing about it is here in Atlanta is that once you make, it seems like any of these teams some money, with the exception maybe the Hawks, they just hang on. The Falcons, they hang on. They hang on to you, and they just keep you around. The fans get all sideways if people talk too much about moving on from them. But the realities are, if you look at the great coaches, they have the philosophy is we rather let you go a year too early than a year too late. Bill Belichick, as much as he's struggling right now in New England, remember, he had already begun to groom 4 years ago Jimmy Garoppolo to take over for Tom Brady, when Tom Brady was still like Tom Brady. And he didn't care, because what he understood is it's not about a single player. Even though Brady and him together had won basically more Super Bowls than anybody, an unprecedented 9 Super Bowl appearances in 20 years. He didn't care about that because he wanted the 10th Super Bowl appearance and the 11th and the 12th before he decided to hang him up. Here in Atlanta, we don't do that. We wait so long to make a move. We're so worried about being a front to somebody's sensibility. Oh, it's not the Southern gentlemanly way. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for that. I'm not being a jerk or being a, whatever you want to call it, a-hole, whatever you want to use. But I'll give you an example. Look at what Alabama did. Okay? Look what Alabama did. Alabama put a guy on the bench who had led them to, I think his overall record was something like 29-2, and took him to a national championship. Put him on the bench because he felt that to get another national championship, he'd be better off on the bench. Let me stop my rant for a second. Let's go to social media here. Let's go to Periscope. It says the Falcons should get Lovie Smith. That's from Mr. Debro44. He also says they generally suck. At the end of the day, the Falcons have been a very up and down team. You are absolutely correct. And like I said, one of the reasons I believe is here in Atlanta, they don't want to bring coaches in and even players in that will ruffle anybody's feathers, that might be grumpy in the press conference and cut you off, that players that might be snarky with the press. They don't want to do that. Yeah, and the affiliate man says, no, they don't, because I tell you what happened. The Michael Vick situation burned the sensibilities of Atlanta management. After the Michael Vick thing, nobody wanted any kind of PR problem at all. If you look like you're a PR problem, or if you look like you're going to be somebody who's going to be too controversial, you had to get gone. If you play for the Atlanta area teams, or if you play for the University of Georgia, you had to get up and out of here. They didn't care how talented you were. And please, man, please, sir, especially as a minister, even not a minister, as a dad, as just a guy, I don't want anybody that's going to be a troublemaker on my team either. I'm not looking for somebody who's going to be, someone's going to get in trouble with police. I'm not talking about that. But sometimes it's the old saying, you talk to any guy who's played this game of football, they will tell you, even sometimes basketball, says you always got to have one or two players that got that dog in them. That individual that'll get after players from the other team, that individual that will get into his fellow players behind if they're kind of sloppy, but basically demanding excellence and demanding performance both on and off the court. We really don't have that here in Atlanta. We got guys that are nice guys only, that don't demand performance. If you don't perform, you're going to sit down. How about that? Let's go back to social media one more time here. We're going back to Affiliate Man saying after Petrino, blank one of the nice guys. That's right. You think about this. You have back-to-back problems. You had Mike Vick followed by Petrino. For those of you who don't know, Petrino was a coach, outstanding college coach, coached at Louisville. He's coached all over the place. Everywhere he's coached, he's won. And he was a guy, when he saw Michael Vick, he said, basically, it's what he did at Louisville with Lamar Jackson. He said, I got a guy that can be electric, that can be a game changer. And he said, I know exactly what buttons to push, what schemes to call to make this guy even better than what he was. And it's a sad thing. As bad as Bobby Petrino is as a man, as much craziness he's done off the field, even what he's conducted himself about lying about being a coach, the guy can flat out coach. And he knows how to make an offense purr. And I can tell you, boys and girls, had he been able to keep his underwear clean and Michael Vick never got in dogfighting, I believe Atlanta could have won multiple Super Bowls with that combination, because what you saw with Lamar Jackson, remember, Lamar Jackson will tell you he emulates Michael Vick. And even though Michael Vick said, hey, this guy's better than me as far as throwing the ball, let me tell you, boys and girls, if you think Lamar Jackson was electric with Bobby Petrino, I can tell you the Michael Vick experience would have been off the chain. It would have been off the chain. I'm just saying. So listen, we got to take a quick little break again here, support the people that support us. And we love you, and we want to support you. Again, put your comments out there on social media. We will pop them up on the screen as you saw before. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO, AM 1570. We're still called The Light sometimes. All right, hang tight, and we'll be right back. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
My man, JB Smooth. One of the things really cool about covering sports is the fact that you get a chance to meet a lot of cool people. So those clips you saw were from my travels. The Charles Woodson interview we actually did at Super Bowl last year. At Super Bowl at Miami, we covered something called, it was the NFL players had their big fundraiser, I should say retired players. NFL basically was a huge event with a Taste of the NFL. I remember. Taste of the NFL, where you had some of the top restaurants from around the Southeast were there, and each one had a Hall of Fame player there, or a future Hall of Fame player in the case of Charles Woodson. So it was great to talk with him and meet him. Also got a chance to see Tim Tebow. You saw him there, saw him at the College Football Championship, and it was held here in 2018. It was cool to be there. And so like I said, we always try to bring you where we go. So stay tuned for more of me bringing you some of the archives and some of the great stuff I've covered over the years. Let you guys take a peek at that as well. I'm going to go into the studio, into the green room here, and see if I can get my man, Mr. Miles Tyson, up on the screen here. But he still is having some problems getting himself connected on his technology. So hopefully he'll be joining us here in just a moment. We can talk some football. Because we want to talk about The burning question of the college football championship playoffs coming up. Should the Big Ten champ, I got the big trend. Let me kind of get that situated there. I got some bad spelling there on my on my screen here. Question is this: should the Big Ten champs play in the CFB playoffs, college football playoffs, even if they only have 6 wins? Because most likely Ohio State is probably going to win if they knock off Northwestern this Saturday, and they'll be like, I think, 6-0. Now, right now they're ranked number 4 in the nation. I'm trying to figure out why they rank number 4 when they've only played 6 games. I know it's because they're Ohio State. I know it's because they have, Heisman Trophy candidate Justin Fields. The guy, by the way, for those of you watching from around the country, played right up the road here in Cobb County, which is in Metro Atlanta. So I get it. And I know you want to, the Ohio State's been in the college football playoffs multiple times. They've won. But my question is, should they go in over maybe another team from the Big Ten that maybe played in Morgan, maybe a team from another conference, maybe even a team like Coastal Carolina? Now you say, Minister, are you crazy? They're undefeated. They knocked off BYU. BYU was, I believe, a top 10 team coming into that game. Why not let one of one of those guys come in, the mid-majors? Give them a shot. Now I know that this is all leading up until 3 or 4 years from now when they go to an 8-team playoff. I get it, and possibly even a 16-team playoff. But right now, this year, let's just put a scenario together. Would it really have been right? Now listen to this for a second. I understand that a lot of people watching this say, "Look, man, that's because you're in the South, so you love the SEC to some degree." But my question is this: if in fact Florida had not lost to Texas A&M and they went into the SEC championship and knocked off Alabama, okay, now, and then the same thing, go to the ACC championship game, Clemson gets revenge of the only loss of the season against Notre Dame, giving Notre Dame their first loss of the season. Who should have went to the college football championships, right? Should be the 2 ACC teams versus 2 SEC teams. Now, of course, conferences around the country are extremely pleased that did not happen because there have been a lot of angst in the Big Ten and the Pac-12, and well, the Pac-12, they're not too good this year, but the Big 12, all around the country, people have been, it's not fair. So what you're going to get most likely is you're going to get 2 ACC teams because it's going to be very hard to keep out Clemson if they knock off Notre Dame. I tell you something, it's going to be tough to keep out Clemson if they lose to Notre Dame because the only 2 losses they would have on their schedule would be to Notre Dame. One of them in overtime without their star quarterback and one of them in a championship game. And they all, by the way, they are the defending national championship. And all, by the way, they've been in 3 of the last 4 college football playoffs. Could you really keep Clemson out? And then so you're not going to obviously keep the SEC champion out. Even if it's Florida, it'd be tough to keep Florida out. If Florida beats Alabama, even with 2 losses, you might have to give Florida a look-see. Even if Alabama loses, I think it's highly unlikely that they're going to keep Alabama out because that would be their only loss of the season. Just like what happened, if you remember a couple of years ago, Alabama did not play in their title game and still got the college football playoffs. Just saying. So this idea about you putting in a Big Ten team that's only won 6 games, is that right? Are you really guaranteed? Oh, my mic has disappeared. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Let me switch mics here for a second. I'm about to switch my mic because my mic got disengaged. Let me switch my mic here. And let's get the mic. Okay, I guess you guys are still hearing me. Thank God for that. Because my mic got disattached here. My snowball mic. So thank God I'm still getting some microphone feedback here while I get this crazy thing plugged in. I tell you, it's amazing what happens when you are on live. There we go. All right, my mic is back. Praise the Lord. Woo! Let's go back to the snowball mic. Make sure we're working. I think it is. You guys have to excuse me. We just had a shit. All right, snowball mic is back. And we're back. Amen. Yeah, I was kind of crazy. Anyway, like I said again, that's my question. Should Ohio State go? Like I said, I've been trying to get my guy Miles Tyson to come on, but he's gone. So who else do you think should play in the college football playoffs? Like I mentioned, Coastal Carolina, undefeated. Should they go? Should an undefeated Coastal Carolina team go no matter what happens now, whether Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship, whether Alabama wins, and whether Clemson wins? Should the 4th team be Coastal Carolina versus Ohio State? What do you guys think? Put it up there. Put your comments in. More than happy to pop you guys up on the screen. Let you guys get right in the middle of it. Love to have your comments as well. Tell me what you think. Who should be in the college football playoffs? Should it be should the Big Ten champion get invited even though they might only have 6 wins? Just saying. Is that right? Or do you think that we should have a wild card? Someone that maybe, like I said, like a Coastal Carolina, someone that you normally would not see at this venue. And how cool would it be maybe to get that? It's worked wonders for March Madness. I mean, we've had mid-majors win, and it's like a big deal. I mean, it's the excitement. You want me to tell you, because everybody loves an underdog. Everybody loves that idea of the Cinderella story. And I mean, just how phenomenal would it be for Coastal Carolina to even be in the mix? Remember a couple of years ago, Western Michigan was involved in a New Year's Six bowl. They did okay. They did okay. They acquitted themselves all right. We saw Central Florida. They acquitted themselves all right. And here's the thing. The big guys have been blown out. How about Notre Dame? And their great play a few years ago against Alabama. They got the brakes beat off them. We saw Alabama, the defending national champion, come in there and get scrubbed. Clemson crushed them 44-16. It happens. Okay, I don't care how good your team is. This is why Super Bowls had a run in like the 80s and 90s where there were blowouts. It's because when you have 2 good teams, the realities are a good team, if you give them multiple chances to score via fumbles, turnovers, they're going to score, and they know how to put the hammer down, which is why the Falcons didn't win in Houston a couple years ago, because they weren't a great team. They were a very good team. They were a team on the roll. They were a team that had momentum, but they weren't a great team. And so when they had the Patriots down 28-3, instead of the final score of that game being what it should have been, like 38-10 or 38-17, the Falcons end up losing the game because they weren't great. They were good, but not great. A great team can blow out another great team or a very good team at any time because they know how to put the foot on the neck. So the idea that if you put a Coastal Carolina in means that you're going to somehow get a lopsided contest, who cares? It would just be fun to see, like I said, a mid-major, unknown team get in there. Wouldn't it? What do you think? Or do you think you should just maintain the status quo? Because when you think about this, you think about this idea of, like, especially Ohio State. And I just want to take shots at the Big Ten because the bottom line is Ohio State showed their mettle because they won against a favorite Alabama team. Matter of fact, coming from behind, they were down 21-6 against Alabama. And Ezekiel Elliott blew the doors off them. Had over 200 yards rushing. So I'm not going to say Ohio State hasn't acquitted itself okay in these games, but I'm saying, to me, basically what you're trying to do is give the Big Ten a reward because, they're one of the older conferences. They've been around for over 100 years, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But at the end of the day, 6 games is 6 games. It's kind of almost not fair to the teams that had to play a full schedule because, in essence, we're rewarding the Big Ten for their own, I don't want to say stupidity, but basically we're giving the Big Ten a pass on their bad choice, apparently, to say we're not going to play. Because remember, the Big Ten originally said we're not going to play at all. They said the season is canceled. We feel in the best interest of our athletes that we will not have the young men subject themselves or their families to the potential of COVID. Until the SEC started rolling and the money was going through the coffers, they said, we can't do it like that. So they jumped in here. Well, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to shift gears now. We appreciate all those of you again who have been watching us here. We also want to give a big shout out to those of you who have been watching on the replay, on Periscope, also on demand on YouTube. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for all those people who allow me to share this program in their various groups. We love you. We got mad love for you. We appreciate you so much. Also, we want to give a big shout out to those watching right now, WIGO, and listening on WIGO. And to give them their props, we got to try to pay some bills. We have advertisers here. One of our main advertisers, as you can see, is Allen Vigil Ford. So we're going to hear some words from them and a little bit on the Real Talk Sports Show, and then we'll be right back. Keep it locked right here for more. There's nothing better than the sound of diesel in the morning. And what better place to get high horsepower diesel than the all-new 2020 Ford F-250, now with 475 horsepower and over 1,000 foot-pound of torque. You know where to get it? From me, the minister, Jonathan Simmons at Allen Visual Ford Commercial Sales. Because you know why? I'm the commercial truck guy in a shirt and tie.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
Alrighty then, we are back here. Welcome to our final segment here of the Real Talk Sports Show. For those of you who are listening on WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio, we say thank you very much. Thank you to all those of you who are watching here on Periscope, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, all the different pros. Hey, Twitch, I forgot about you, Twitch. Thank you so much for watching us so far tonight. Big shout out to you, but the night's not over. We've been talking, hinting around, talking football. Now it's time to shift to the meat. NFL, but specifically our Atlanta Falcons. And you know, if we're talking Falcons, there's only one man that we're going to bring to the podium, to the stage himself. He is the embedded beat writer for the AJC Sports for our Atlanta Falcons, award-winning sports writer, great professor and teacher, Esquire par excellence, the one and only D. Orlando Ledbetter. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, Reverend, how you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, man, listen, good to have you back, D-Led. I want to give you a big shout out. So, you know, we try to get D-Led on as much as he can. The guy's busy, got a lot of stuff going on. And last week, we texted him, hey, D-Led, can you come on? And he said he was getting dental work done, but he was going to try and come on like a real trooper. I got to give him mad props for that, because most people, like, if they get some dental work, hey, man, see you when I see you. But I got to give him props for trying to come on. But we told him, no, rest. I know how it is, man, when you get some dental work done. It's, you know, it's not like it's, you know, major surgery, but it's better if you're not talking much. So we appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a little rough, bumpy Tuesday, but you know, you gotta get that stuff done when it comes up, and so certainly appreciate you and the Real Talk Sports family.
No doubt, man. Well, it's been pretty exciting here. Once again, once I let people know that you're on, it gets a little buzz. We actually had a guy that popped on Periscope, and I actually saved his comments because he told me to ask you, which I will, about some of the things going on with the Falcons. So we'll get his question up in just a little bit. Well, let's just get right to it. All right, we had another weekend of frustration. Falcons once again find themselves in the position of being able to win a National Football League game, and then it all kind of got away from them. What did you see kind of was the main breakdown in those final minutes to why they couldn't get it done again?
Well, you know, some bad throws by Matt Ryan, you know, missed Hayden Hurst, bad throw to Calvin Ridley. Lucky that wasn't a pick six. So he said he was late throwing the balls out. He got to make better throws. You know, he put that all on his shoulders. You know, the defense went out and got him an interception to get him the ball back. But throwing 3 interceptions, you know, for just the third time, you know, I'm sorry, he's got 212 starts in just 11 games where he's thrown 3 interceptions. So only one game with 4. So, you know, he usually takes care of the ball. But in this case on Sunday, he didn't do that, and that cost them a winnable game, the last game that they're going to be favored in this season.
Yeah, so they really have struggled, you know, in the ability to close games out. And again, Matt Ryan had a really, like you mentioned, one of his worst games. So now the question is buzzing, that's been buzzing for a while, is that, okay, could we be at the end of the game for Matt Ryan? We know, obviously, that the Falcons can't just cut him because of the huge, pop they'd hit on not social media, excuse me, on the cap. But what do you think they can really do to kind of get things put back together with him? What would you think Matt Ryan's situation is going to be really next year?
Well, the way the salary cap structure, he's not going anywhere. They could do a post-June 1 and split the money up, but it would handicap the franchise for the next 3 years to get part ways at this point. So I fully expect them to move forward with Matt Ryan. Maybe they will consider drafting a quarterback. Maybe they probably can't get to Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. But I know they are concerned about ticket prices and the fans not coming to the games and defaulting on their PSLs. So, the move might be to lose these 3 games, get to the top 5, and then do what you did in 2001. They were 5th. They traded up to number 1 and got Michael Vick. And, the rest was history. The franchise sold out the stadium. They went on and started being competitive and have been, except for a couple years here and there, been competitive ever since that move in 01. So I'm saying, hey, go get to 5, trade up to get Trevor Lawrence, and, then you're going to be rebuilding anyway. Or get Justin Fields and then ignite your fan base, because right now the fans are, they were down. They were let down after the Super Bowl. They didn't get back the next year, and then got 7-9, 4-12. So if you want to get your fans back, you got to go get the quarterback, and this is the year to do it.
Yeah, no doubt. So it really, you have a situation here where the quarterbacks are out there. It is a time where you got to look to say, hey, we need to replace Matt Ryan. I mean, even if he was having a good season, you still have to say the guy can't play for 20 years. I mean, that's a rarest of rare that a guy can perform at a high level, really, once he gets past that 10th or 12th year. So Matt's in his 13th year, so they'd have to look to do something anyway. Let's go to social media for a second here and grab some comments from there. We're going to go here, and Mr. Chris Dunlap from Facebook, he said they should have tanked a long time ago. And so that's my question here. Let me pop this up here. Should the Falcons tank for the rest of their games? What say you folks? There it is right there. Should the Falcons tank for the rest of the season? Yes or no? Put your comments in on social media in the comment section, and we'll be more than happy to pop you up on the screen. So, D-Led, you're in the camp that they should kind of, we got to be careful how we use that word tank, that they should be maybe viewing some of the second-team players as we go down the stretch?
No, they don't even have to do it, Reverend. I mean, Tampa Bay's going to take it to them. Tom Brady. Yeah, I just went over reviewing the game. Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Michael Evans, Chris Godwin. They got another receiver, Sean Miller. Same defense came back, and they got a quarterback now. So, I mean, they don't have to tank at this point. They're going to lose these last 3 games because they can't block Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had 12 sacks and 28 quarterback hits last year. So this line hasn't gotten better. So, I would sit Matt Ryan for his own health. Right. Health. And then you playing the Chiefs, and they're on a whole nother planet. So, you don't even got a tank right now. They did, they fought hard. They went out. They tried to beat the Saints. They didn't do it. So, the Chargers game, they should have won it. They didn't. So, at this point, just, everybody's playing for pride. And Coach Raheem said, hey, we're spoilers right now. So, they're trying to spoil everybody else's season. But, he's not going to try to lose the games. But they're going to be fighting uphill battles. I don't think you don't got to play the second team because you're going to be getting, you're playing really good teams.
Well, no doubt. As you mentioned, you got to play Tampa Bay twice, and you got to play the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. And we see good teams struggle to stay on the field with them. So, yeah, it could be a long afternoon for our Atlanta Falcons. Well, we want to do this while we still got the guys from WIGO listening on the radio before they go. I do want to get back to this question that was up on social media on Periscope. Affiliate Man asked me, and let's hear it is right there. He says, can you ask the AJC guy? He couldn't remember your name. He said, but he knew you're the AJC guy. He says, who he thinks are the leading candidates for GM for next year.
All right, I got my list right here. So
got the sheet out, baby.
Yeah, I got him ranked. The best candidate is Reggie McKenzie. who had the Raiders. We've heard from our league sources, Terry Fontenot, Rick Smith, and Brad Holmes are getting interviews. McKenzie was mentioned by the ESPN guy. Since I'm just the AJC guy, we'll just call him that. Sam Kelly and Jerry Reese is the name I keep hearing. The former GM of the New York Giants. Another website guy said that Louis Riddick was a candidate. I haven't been able to confirm that. Louis Riddick, I was told when I brought his name up to one of my sources, they said there's a reason why he's in the TV booth. So that's how where we stand right now on the GM situation. And stuff should start popping here in a second because with like 2 weeks to go in the season, they're gonna have to start getting permission to talk to Fontenot while their season's going on. He's with the Saints. I got a story coming up on him on Sunday. He played for Coach Chris Selfo down at Tulane. And then, Rick Smith, waiting to hear from him, waiting to hear from Rod Graves from the Fritz Pollard Alliance, and talk to a couple agents so we can, get a good handle on GM candidates and the coaching candidates. We believe that they're going to hire an African-American GM and maybe a majority coach. The coach list looks like it's got a little bit more diversity than the GM list. So on the coaches list, you got Nate Hackett, Green Bay quarterbacks coach, Arthur Smith, the Tennessee offensive coordinator, of course, Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs coordinator and a good friend of mine, Brian Daboll, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, and then of course you got Raheem Morris, who will get an interview, coming off of his stint as the interim football coach. And Joe Brady of the Carolina is the one I'm adding him right now as we speak. Joe Brady was the name we heard last week, and we're trying to reach out to his agent, Trace Armstrong.
Well, no question. If you talk about Jerry Reese, I mean, I think you mentioned last time we came on, you wanted to see a guy, and this was talking more about the coaches, that you wanted to see somebody that had some actual NFL experience. Well, Jerry Reese, and if I'm not mistaken, he helped craft the two Super Bowl champion New York Giants teams from 2007 2011. Is that correct?
That is correct. He's also a direct descendant of Ernie Coulter, one of the great GMs and talent evaluators in the history of the league, should be in the Hall of Fame. So folks want to give varying degrees to how much credit Jerry should get, but the fact is he's got 2 Super Bowl rings.
Yes, sir. And knocked off probably, if you go back and look, we have short memory, but the 07 Patriots team and the 2011 Patriots team were probably two of the best teams on those individual seasons, especially the 07 team. I mean, that was the 50 touchdown Brady year, Randy Moss. So, you got a situation, man, where they were able to take that Giants team and find a way, even though they were not so hot in the regular season, but to find a way to build a championship team, not once but twice, and knocking off, like I said, 2 great Patriot teams. So I would think if you want championship pedigree, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm surprised nobody from Pittsburgh is on our list. Pittsburgh's been the model of consistency for the last 5 decades. 6 Super Bowl rings since the 70s, 80s, they don't fire their coach every 4 and 5 years. They've only had 3 since Chuck Noll got the job. So whatever they're doing in Pittsburgh, you need to copy that. And I'm surprised that nobody from Pittsburgh is on the list.
And that could be, who knows? That could be some underlying respect for the Rooney family. Well, speaking of respect, we got to give mad respect to the people at WIGO because they sign off at the 9 o'clock hour. We want to thank all those of you who've been listening to us on WIGO 1570 and on WIGOAM.com. Until the next time we have a chance to join us on the broadcast, God bless you and have a good night. And remember, for great gospel music, tune in every day, Monday through Friday, except Wednesdays, for the Eli Smith Show, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, because he's our producer behind the glass. God bless everybody. Yeah, so I mean, maybe it's respect to the Rooney family. Maybe they've told their people, hey, don't interview. I'm not sure, but it's really weird because you don't have any mention of any Pittsburgh guys at all.
No, They tried the New England thing. You got some Green Bay people on here, Kansas City, Tennessee. I can't trace anybody. Well, Raheem Morris would technically be a Pittsburgh guy. Him and Coach Tomlin are the best of buds, and so he would technically be. He could be, Pittsburgh guy via Tampa Bay, which is where Tomlin came from. So that's the closest thing we got to anybody with the Steelers.
Well, we're going to take a peek here. Speaking of taking a peek, let's go back to social media again here. We're going to go to Facebook. And Mr. Chris Dunlap is saying congratulations on the Jets. He talked about that before. And a big shout out to our producer, Carl Eli Smith, actually telling me to make sure to wrap up, which we did. So we thank him for his comments as well. We know, D-Led, it's just when you look at the situation, you have a team that is, I think this is kind of bizarre. I talked about this earlier in the broadcast about me covering the Hawks. And I happened the other day to be doing some cleaning, which I rarely do. But anyway, I was doing some cleaning around the house and found a schedule, a press conference schedule from 2015. And that was the Eastern Conference Finals, Hawks against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
A year where they won 60 games and still to this day are the only NBA team to go undefeated for an entire month. And now here we are, barely 5 years later, where they're basically retooling. And we look at the Falcons. It's hard to believe that was just the 2016-17 season that these guys were the seventh best offense in the history of the NFL. And they were talking about a team that had been crafted together to potentially win multiple Super Bowls. And now here we are with basically trying to retool. From covering these guys, now this is kind of a tough question. What would you think are the one or two things that really kind of set in motion to get this thing kind of off the rails? From you watching it.
Well, not keeping Kyle Shanahan. You had to let him go. They gave him a 6-year, $36 million deal. So you lost your mastermind on offense. And not only Kyle Shanahan, but you lost the top running back coach in the league in Bobby Turner. So you can't really replace that brain trust there. So you lost top coaches, you made bad draft picks. You didn't replace the starter. Andy Levitre got old. Chris Chester retired. You had to replace the guards and the tackles, and you haven't been able to do that. And you haven't found the pass rush. So the scouting that they had set up and the GM system built a donut team. A team that had good players on the outside, cornerbacks, safeties, wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, but nothing in the middle. Nobody that's going to knock somebody back 2 yards to get a first down. Nobody that's going to go on third down and sack the quarterback. So they built a donut team that can't hold up against these good teams with stout defensive and offensive fronts.
Yeah, so there's no doubt if you look at the team, it's just, and when I look at it, I thought to myself, really, I kind of, it's funny, it's not small things, but sometimes little things that you say and you go, uh-oh. So when the Falcons got ready to go to Super Bowl, the thing that really kind of unnerved me right off the rip was the whole Devontae Freeman contract thing. I was like, man, this is because the whole thing had been about this buildup was the brotherhood. Right. That was the whole mantra I kept hearing about, the brotherhood. And so when the whole Freeman thing came up right before the Super Bowl, where he really kind of didn't say anything much to diffuse it, and then when it found out that not that there's anything wrong with the lady, but that his lawyer was the wife of Uncle Luke, it just got to be like a huge distraction to me. And then the second thing is the lost playbook. All those things was like, I was thinking, oh, no, those are bad, go away. But those gave me, the harbingers of potentially something bad to happen, and it did. It just, like I said, it just seemed like that team from that point on just started going backwards. And, of course, as you mentioned before, the constricted cap space, because Matt and his agent, which they have the right to do, opted not to take a Drew Brees or Tom Brady approach to say, listen, you know what, I'm making a ton of money, but I want to win championships. Let me kind of, take a, whatever you want to call it, hometown discount and, leave some money on the table to get some additional players in here that could either keep us at the level we're at or possibly push us over the top for another Super Bowl run. And of course, same thing with Julio. Once again, coming back to the table after, I think he had get a renegotiation like a year or two before, and they come back again. Yeah. All those things to me were just bad.
Yeah, that was
bad signs of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially Freeman, especially after he missed the block in the Super Bowl. At that point, I'm not tied to you anymore. I don't have any reason to give you a renegotiate your contract. You outperformed a rookie deal, but you can go somewhere else at this point. That was a management team and philosophy that protected their own, even when they weren't good, even when they shouldn't have. That was part of the brotherhood. Was that I was taught by General Manager Ryan Wolf, hey, when a guy can't play, you got to cut him. And so they would keep guys around. I mean, like Sean Harlow is still around. They know he can't play. He was a 4th-round pick, so they keep him around. No, you got to go get somebody that can play. And when guys can't play, they kept him around. Duke Riley, they gave him like 3 chances to be the starting linebacker. Jalen Collins, they even brought back Rashid Hageman. He wasn't even one of their guys. It was just, bad evaluations and bad decisions to, not move on from players when they needed to move on and get better players in here. They weren't drafting the best players when the picks came up. And when you go to the Super Bowl, you see these teams when they win because they got a better player. Sammy Lee Watkins got open on Richard Sherman in the Super Bowl because he was better than him now. Damian Williams beat your linebackers because he was better than them. You got to get the best players. I don't care when and where. You draft them and bring them in here, let them compete, and then go to war with a good, sound, fundamental football team.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And again, the other problem is the coaching that they've decided to stay with. Again, Dan Quinn was the tonic we needed at the time because, let's face it, as good as Coach Smith was those last couple of years, and it could be the pressure. I tell everybody, nobody can really understand what kind of pressure it is to be like that, having to win. But it seemed like a lot of air went out of the balloon and that there just was that mood of just melancholy. And when Dan came in, it was a breath of fresh air. Very upbeat, very positive guy, but clearly demonstrated early on that he was not a good X and O guy. Early on, he demonstrated that.
Yeah, you don't really gotta be. It's not real. It's not rocket science. He got a cover 3 zone system that worked. They won the Super Bowl with it. They knocked Peyton Manning around. Come in here and run whatever you do. Do it at a high level. If you're gonna run the wishbone, run the wishbone. Shanahan ran his offense and the defense. It wasn't. I didn't think you got to be rocket science to be a head football coach. So I wasn't. I know I heard that a lot of people. His time management, his bad timeouts. I'm like, no, those are little things. The good coaches coach and the players play. There's some games within the games. If you're the head coach, you got to control certain things. And he didn't control so he didn't control the thing in the Super Bowl. When it's
no doubt.
3 and you got to run the clock. That's not the time to be aggressive.
Right.
I don't want to hear we were being aggressive, throwing the ball on 3rd and 1. No. I saw Coach Smith take the headset from Malarkey and just start yelling out running plays for 9 in a row to win a game in New Orleans once. That's head coaching. Right.
That's what you got to do. Well, speaking of head coaching and questions, let's go to social media here. We got from Twitch, we got Dark Sage 9117. He says he has an interesting sports question for you guys. Well, Dark Sage, the floor is yours. So go ahead and fire away. I don't see your question yet, but put it back in the comments, and we will bring it up here on the screen. So go ahead, let us know what your interesting question is. We'd be more than happy to answer it for you here. We got a few more minutes left in the broadcast, so come on and bring it there from Twitch. That is, we appreciate you tonight. We got a couple of listeners that popped in here from Twitch. It's a new platform for us. For those of you who are OGs like me, maybe not as familiar, Twitch is probably the #1 platform for online streaming of gaming, big on esports, and they are actually now, they were purchased a few years ago as an affiliate of Amazon. So we thank all the new listeners here on Twitch, and we hope to have you guys, the new viewers, I should say, and we hope that we can bring some stuff to you. Speaking of esports, we're going to diverge for just a second before we get back to Falcons. D-Led, what do you think about the whole esports thing? Have you kind of peeked over there a little bit? What do you think about the whole esports that has seemed to taken over the online world?
Interesting. Coach Sam Crenshaw kind of hit me to it a few years back. He said, the Turner's a big player in it. You got gaming teams around the world. Got some colleges. One Robert Morris, I believe, has got a gaming team. Ohio State starting one. So it's new and different. I don't think it replaced real sports, going out and getting outside and playing in the streets like we used to. But a lot of the kids are digitally aware. About as far as I go is Madden. So I don't know about all these fighting games and racing games and so forth. But certainly something that the next generation is into now. And something that we gotta keep track of. I don't think we're gonna cover esports. I'm just interested in it. I don't really want to watch somebody else play a game or a digital game, a video game. Much rather see something live.
No doubt. Well, one thing we want to do here before we go to our question on social media, I want to give a big shout out again to the folks at Allen Vigil Ford. They have been great sponsors of them, and I will tell the truth. Like to do full disclosure, I'm actually an employee of Allen Vigil Ford. So if you actually need a vehicle, you can contact me directly. I'll be more than happy to assist you. And you can see there on the screen, it's Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln. Are located in Morrow, Georgia. You can shop them 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. Well, let's go back to social media here. It's a long question, but we're going to pop it up here on the screen. This is again from our man Dark Sage 9117, and the question reads as follows. He said, Dark Sage, sorry about that. He said, it is very hard in today's sports landscape for small market teams to be successful and compete with the teams that have championship pedigree and money. For example, should a team like the Atlanta Falcons follow the St. Louis Cardinals approach to building a team? Because what they are doing seems to be working, and I think any team should look to them to how they should achieve their long-term success. So I think he's talking a lot about the whole Moneyball concept, and he's got a follow-up to it as well. He says, the Cardinals have done something very few of these small market teams have done. They have been able to succeed where most teams have only had a small window and then have to rebuild. A team like the Falcons, I think, could really benefit from following or trying to build a team based around this model because St. Louis has proven it has working. So, again, I think he's talking about the Moneyball concept. What do you think about that, D-Led, as far as Falcons football?
Yeah, there is no such thing as a small market in the NFL. They all are the same. They all get the same amount of TV money. That's the difference between baseball and football. The TV money is split into 32 parts. So everybody's got the same amount of money. You can't do money ball in the NFL. Everybody's got the same salary cap. You can't go over it. You can't hit the floor. You can't go over the ceiling. You got to hit the floor. They've done a good job of, they spend their money, whether it's on the right players or not. That's, left to be determined. But the money ball approach does not work in the NFL. You have to hit in the draft, and then you got to hit when your quarterback is young and, not taking up a lot of salary cap money. So your players that you draft have to be good, or you got to go find some undrafted guys that beat them out and let them compete. So scouting and drafting are the keys and the lifeblood of the NFL. Teams have not been able to win with the free agency approach that we're seeing in Tampa Bay, where they just got Brady, picked up Fournette, picked up Antonio Brown. That usually doesn't work in the NFL, but folks, that hasn't stopped people from trying it.
Yeah, no doubt. If you look at, again, going back to the Falcons team that was successful, the key to that team is that you had guys that they actually drafted well. They had guys that weren't first-round guys. That was the thing that was so comical to me this year. They touted the fact they had all these first-rounders. I'm thinking to myself, well, if they were so good, how come they stay on their own teams? But that's another story. But, yeah, I mean, they were able to get guys in that legendary draft with Debo, and then they were able to get Grady Jarrett. They were able to get guys deep in the draft that turned out to be outstanding players, which they haven't. they haven't been able to do in the first round. They actually seem to me to do better in the later rounds. Outside of obviously the Julio trade, I mean, that was something where it was a can't miss. And even, before he got injured, he's looking better now. If you look at the Cano Neal drafting, was not bad either. So, but most of the time, the first round has been kind of a crapshoot for the Falcons.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. But you don't want to miss in the first 3 rounds. You got to get somebody that can play. And they taking gambles. That Takk McKinley that came out of UCLA with a shoulder problem. They could have took T.J. Watt. He was healthy, and JJ's little brother. He's got almost 40-something sacks. Tack's still trying to get to 10 or 20. They gambled on him. They gambled on Caleb McGarry. He wasn't the best rated tackle at 29. And they traded up to get him, knowing that he couldn't block speed and he had a heart problem. So, the old general manager drafted guys that had, he took gambles that you didn't have to take. You can't really draft a guy from Ole Miss and Parade Jerry who had 5 surgeries already. He wasn't going to hold up. I mean, I could tell you that. And I'm not getting the millions of dollars they're getting. And you pass on Clay Matthews. Pick the best player. It's not that hard. And so, but they made it harder than it could be, and the house of cards fell apart here eventually.
Well, I know a lovely Miss Jennifer from the Matthews family, so I tried to hit them too hard, but as you know, like you said, they got the wrong Matthews. Jake has been a serviceable guy at tackle, but of course, going back to Super Bowl, 2 costly holding penalties by Jake. That's what I remember him for. But nevertheless, like you said, D-Led, you hit it on the head, and you've said this every week, the idea that the Falcons, whatever conundrum of people they get in here, they need to find a way to basically what Mr. Blank forced them to do a couple of years ago. So I need to get me some starters out of this draft. I don't want to hear any excuses. Right. I need to get, now, whether you get 4 guys or not, who knows, but I need to get a couple of guys that are going to be starters and or impact players on this team in the draft. Case closed, end of story.
No question about it. And just the repeated failure to draft defensive ends, they haven't had pass rushes. John Abraham retired. So, Vic had the one good year where he got hot against some bad tackles and had 15 sacks. And Brian Cox got that out of him. So, but then why do you get rid of him? The whole coaching carousel under Coach Quinn, whoever was responsible for that, I'm gonna say that he wasn't. There's no coach is gonna keep firing all his coaches like that.
Right.
There's some of them that you got into coaching. So whoever was in charge of that and sabotaged his coaching regime.
It's no doubt, man. And of course, I know, as you mentioned to me, that he wasn't quite. Nobody knew that he was going to be what he was. But certainly, man, when I look at the fact that they really had 2 legitimate offensive and defensive coordinators who brought this team to the Super Bowl, certainly Marquand Manuel took them from being, I think, 20th ranked overall in the NFL to 6th that season. And then, of course, the young man who's now the head coach at Green Bay, I think if anybody should have taken over from Shanahan, should have been him, because he kind of knew the system. So I know he's a younger guy, but when I look back, these are the kind of blunders that mediocre teams make.
Yeah, I was in the camp. I thought they could do better than Matt LaFleur at the time, but apparently they couldn't, and we were wrong on that. The kid's done a great job. He was personable. I liked his presentation, smooth guy. I just like he's not ready yet. But we were clearly wrong. He was clearly ready, just like Gruden when he left Green Bay to go to the Eagles as the offensive coordinator. That was a big gamble by Ray Rose, but I didn't think he was ready either. Turns out he's been very much so ready. So, but Arthur Blank talks about people seeing around corners, and it's kind of mystical stuff, but there is some of that involved. Kind of projecting how Matt LaFleur was going to be as a moving from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator. You got to be able to see that that's a good move, whereas most people most people didn't see that as a good move. So they are looking to, they're going to get a reset here. They got to energize the fan base. They got to, pick the right football people. maybe sell tickets at the same time. But yeah, getting the football part of it is the beginning of trying to win some football games. Win some football games, city gets excited, they buy tickets.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you mentioned, you can't keep having these defaults on these PSLs. I mean, they have to, because that's money you basically have already kind of counted to be in the bank. So that's money they got to have, man. It's just they got a road, but the NFL, D-Led, you've been covering it for a long time. You've seen this before, where a team has looked dead in the water, and 2 years later they're a playoff and Super Bowl contender. Because all it really takes is a couple of, especially with this team, even with Matt being and Julio being obviously on the back end of their careers, when healthy, both these guys still probably have a couple of years left where they can play at a pretty high level. So all of a sudden, if you get a running game with Matt, or like the offensive line, whichever you need to produce a running game where he doesn't have to sling it around as much, almost like reminded me of the last 2 years of John Elway when they won those 2 Super Bowl titles, where they had a Hall of Fame running back, good defense, and he didn't have to be the John Elway of the 80s.
Right. And that's where the Falcons, if they're going to hold on to Matt and Julio, that's what they're going to have to do. And Julio is going to have to start looking at Larry Fitzgerald. I know Roddy used to work out with him.
Yep.
He's around for, I think, 16th, 17th year now. He's helping out. He's not the lead horse anymore. He got DeAndre Hopkins doing that. And he's got the Kirk kid running the flyer route. So he's working the middle of the field. And he's moving the chains for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray gets in trouble. He knows where Larry Fitzgerald is. So, it can be done. There are a lot of things they have to fix. When I talked to Louis Riddick earlier in the year. He's like, I don't know how they keep messing up the pass rush, but that's got to get fixed, and the blocking's got to get fixed. So it's the nuts and bolts football things that, not the shiny objects, not the speedy receiver, not the girly running back. It's the big uglies up front where they gotta get some help. They gotta get some help fast.
No doubt. And I just want to say one thing. I did see finally he got the message. It does appear that last week we had Laquan Treadwell sighting. When he came on the field, I thought about you. I said, yeah, D-Led hit him hard enough that he said, I got to straighten up and fly right. And caught a touchdown.
Yeah,
so
good running over people in the end zone.
Did he fire for a tweet to you? Did he get a tweet?
We're gonna talk to him. Laquan is up. Let me see here, Reverend. We're gonna talk to him this week.
All right.
Looks like we get Laquan on Thursday.
Okay. Yep. Well.
Yeah. We got any beef to settle? We can do it on Thursday.
Yes, sir. We look forward to hearing your feedback from that, because I remember you guys had a little Twitter battle early in the season. But evidently, the thing about it is that if that wasn't the case, it wouldn't have taken him so long to get on the field.
Yeah,
I mean, that's realities of it.
He wasn't, he was the first round pick. If Minnesota been looking for receivers, he got beat out by Diggs and Adam Thielen. So if he was open, he'd still been there. So and when he came here, he was a pretty boy in it. And, we watching him dropping the ball and everything. And so when he got cut, we weren't surprised at all that he got cut. Vaughn tweeted out that, he didn't look good. And Laquan tweeted back at Vaughn and said, hey, no, this is fake news. I balled out. And I was like, no, not fake news. You was dropping a whole bunch of stuff. So I had to say he's my competitor at the time, but I wasn't going to let Laquan run that Vaughn like that when it clearly wasn't true.
Well, like I said, man, it was good to see him out there. And the funny thing about it is you see the physicality and the potential. Is he a Julio Jones level? Obviously not, but he is a big body receiver that if he was putting 100% motor, man, he'd be a rough customer in there.
Yeah, well, Reverend, we followed him at Ole Miss when Freeze was there, and they were cheating and getting all the best players around the country. And he was balling until he got a horse-collar tackle and against the Auburn and got big snap back. And so everybody thought, after that, his combine numbers didn't look right and everything, but Minnesota took him anyway. But he still got pro hands. At least the scouting reports I had on him. He's a big guy. He can sit down in spaces, and He could be a possession receiver. He ain't going on no non-route.
Right.
But that's exactly how they used him. He sat down at the 2-yard line, caught the ball, and ran over the safety for a touchdown. And that was Justin Hardy's old role, because
Right.
in the red zone, everything was, jumbled with Julio and Ridley. But every now and then you see Justin Hardy zip across. He had about 14 touchdowns in 4 years. So they wanted Treadwell to come in and take that role, kind of be the fourth guy. And, that probably didn't sit well with him, being a former, number one receiver in the country and first-round pick. And now they're asking you to be a role player. So you get cut. When he got cut, he thought that other teams were going to pick him up. And then they waited 2 weeks like, hey, we still got your spot for you on the practice squad.
Right.
He came back in and, by all accounts, worked hard on the practice squad. And, some injuries happened. And, now he's going to probably play the rest of the season.
Like I said, man, at the end of the day, this team offensively, if they could get one road grader, you probably have enough serviceable running backs. Where if you had a guy, like you said, actually move people around, you probably could have a decent running attack. But if they get a road grader, somebody that might be a guy that could really tote the rock and get you 70, 80 yards a game, and then, of course, that one defensive playmaker, this is a playoff team. As strange as that sounds, if you look at the way they lost games this year, with all the dysfunction they had, you give them 2 or 3 key players, and they're a team that can be right back in the hunt.
Yep, no doubt. You foul on the ball in Dallas. You don't let foes look like Johnny Unitas. But there's some problems in the secondary. If you can't cover man, get out of man. You can't just let people run down the field on you. If you can't play that, just keep it in front of you. Play bend but don't break, and then get in the red zone and try to get it off of them. It's ways to play, to your talent, strength. You can't keep putting Isaiah Oliver in one-on-one coverage. They got the 25-yarder on him in the Chargers game. They're going to find him. They done watched all the film. They saw he can't put somebody one-on-one. So, another draft pick wasted, second-round pick at cornerback who can't play cornerback. Now you got to look at him as a safety because Ricardo Allen, I don't know if you bring him back at $8 million, and then Keanu Neal's going to be a free agent, and you kind of drafted his replacement in Jalen Hawkins, but the new coaches might not like Jalen Hawkins. So might have to look at Oliver, who will have another year left, put him back at safety and see if he can play.
No doubt. Like you said, the Falcons have some questions to answer and some things to put together here. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. And so we'll be looking to be speaking to you, as we always do, a lot about what's going on. And speaking about what's going on, you know how we do it. Anybody that comes on the show, we got to let people know how they can find out more about them, website, social media. So, D. Orlando Ledbetter, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Reverend. You can find me on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. You can bookmark our Falcons coverage at ajc.com. And then you can follow us on our Facebook page, Atlanta Falcons News Now. Thank you very much, and appreciate you all downloading our podcast, the Bowtie Chronicles podcast. The 238th episode drops tomorrow, and we take a look at Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Falcons' opponent, on Sunday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Thank you.
D-Led, good stuff, man. As always, appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, man. And until the next time, man, God bless you and the family. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Sims. You take care, and thanks for having me on Real Talk Sports.
Yes, sir. D. Orlando Ledbetter, like you said, the embedded beat writer for the Atlanta Falcons for AJC Sports, also a college professor as well. Does a great job of, taking care of your kids if they go to any of the local universities here. He spreads himself out a little bit. Primarily with the University of Georgia. Like I said, again, just a great, great guy, and we thank God for him taking time with us. As a matter of fact, it looks like one of his daughters is following his footsteps. He does reporting as well, so thumbs up. That DNA is strong in that one. Well, guys, listen, we appreciate all those of you who have watched the broadcast. Tune in here. We appreciate the guys, especially the first-timers on Twitch. Hey, man, mad shout out to you. Big shout out to each and every one of you that joined us on the broadcast on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and to those of you watching the replay on Periscope. We thank you so much. And we thank you for all the groups that have allowed me to share on the pages, whether it be South Metro Businesses of Atlanta, whether it be Let's Talk Clayton County, whether it be Men of the Kingdom, whether it be Falcons, Atlanta Falcons 2.0 page, whether it be New Pack City, whether it be the Hawks page, whether it be some of the other pages. We appreciate all those of you allow me to share on your group pages, even from my hometown, Brian McMahon alumni and Washingtonville's reunion. It's me, Jonathan, a.k.a. Big John. Not so big anymore like I used to, but it's me. So we thank God for those of you who allow us to do that as well. So, again, we appreciate you. Appreciate you sharing the broadcast and for all you're doing. Appreciate those guys you see right down there, Allen, Vigil, Ford, and Lincoln. They're located in Morrow, Georgia. Matter of fact, 6790 Mount Zion Boulevard in the city of Morrow, Georgia. Just 20 minutes from downtown Atlanta and about the same distance or less from the biggest airport in the world, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. You can come down and see them right there. Like I said, we're close to anything in Atlanta. So come on down there. And if you need some help, you can call on little old me. Here's my cell phone number right here. We'll pop it up on the screen. You can give me a call, 678-410-9833. I will be your personal automobile consultant if you need a vehicle for yourself, family member, or for your business, because I specialize in business sales. So especially if you have a business, some of you now are getting into transport with vans and so forth. We have the Ford Transit van, which is one of the ones that Amazon uses. We have those in stock. For those of you who might be towing vehicles, we have flatbeds, we have diesel trucks, anything you need. And if you like luxury, we also carry the Lincoln brand, full complement of Lincoln products, because we are a Allen, Vigil, Ford, and Lincoln. So again, if you need some help, give me a call, 678-410-9833. That's my cell. Would love to be of some assistance, again, to you and your family. Please follow me on social media. You can follow me personally at Minister J. Sim. You also can follow the show on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. Okay, so again, check us out, and we'd love to have you guys interact with you. Like I said, again, when you're on the live broadcast, if you put your comment in, wherever it is, we pop it up on the screen so people can see it, and our guests can answer it, like D. Orlando Ledbetter did for our friend on Twitch. Let me get his name correct one more time here before we get off the air, but that was Dark Sage. There he is, that Dark Sage 9117. So as you can see, we put his whole comment up on the screen. We appreciate him. Appreciate Chris Dunlap from Facebook. Also has some great comments talking about the Falcons tacking. And we also want to give a big shout out to Affiliate Man. We gave those guys shout out because they were our biggest interactors and interacting with us here on the broadcast. All right, everybody, like I mentioned, I am a real live minister. So before I go and leave the air on any show, I would like to make sure that people know about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I want to ask you, do you, ma'am, you, sir, know him as your personal Savior? Do you have a relationship with God? If the answer is no, I want to say to you, please, ma'am, please, sir, get to know him today. Who? Mighty Yeshua HaMashiach, a.k.a. Jesus the Christ. Why? Because nobody loves you like Jesus. Not your mom, not your grandmom, not your auntie and them, not your babe, not your boo, not your BFF, not your ride and die, not your ride and live, not your homegirl, not your homeboy, not your partner. Nobody loves you like him. Why? Because he made you, number one. Number two, he died for you. He took the penalties for all of man's sins and nailed them on the cross. That's one of the most horrific deaths ever. But the good news is, he's risen from the dead. And guess what he took? He snatched away all the power from the devil. So all you have to do to be connected with God permanently and eternally is the following things. Number one, repent of your sin. Just tell the truth. Say, God, I've been doing it my own way. That's not the way you want. I'm sorry. Believe that Jesus took all your sins, past, present, and future, nailed them to those crosses, and that he was risen from the dead. You go tell somebody, bam, something phenomenal happens. You become what we call born again. What that simply means is you become two things. One, a full-blown citizen of the kingdom of heaven, and you become an adopted child of God and have all the rights therein. AKA, that means that God is now your daddy. You can call him daddy, you can call him father, you can call him terms of endearment, but more importantly, you can go to him directly and ask him for what you need. You can talk to him about your problems. Because guess what? Who's got your back? Jesus Christ, because he's sitting right next to him, pleading your case as well, like the greatest lawyer of all time. So that's the good news. And guess what? When you die, you get to go to the happy place called heaven. Now, there's no place like heaven that we can even think of. Beautiful place, lots of sunshine, lots of lovely people, no more pain, no more getting older. You know, as old guys think about that. No pandemic, no politics, no protests of any type. Instead, just happy people enjoying the beautiful opportunity to engage with God personally. That's right. You don't have to pray anymore because he'll be right there. And you talk about bling, every building adorned with every possible beautiful jewel you can think of. A matter of fact, the streets are paved with a gold that's so pure it's translucent. Okay? And the gates of the city, all 12 of them, are made from one giant pearl. Now, how cool is that? So that's the happy place you get to go to. And you avoid that bad place called H-E double hell. Nobody wants to go there. Because all those things I mentioned to you are not in heaven, will be there in hell. There'll be pain. There'll be pandemic. There'll be bad people everywhere. Hot fire. And you can't get out. Now, I don't know about you, but I like door number 1 and not door number 2. I will go back to social media one more time here. Again, we're going to pop in. Affiliate Man says he is back. There he is on Periscope. Appreciate him. And yes, you are right, Affiliate Man. God is great. And we want to say God bless you and your family as well. I hope everybody here is getting geared up for a wonderful holiday season. I hope the Lord blesses each and every one of you real good. Until the next time, God bless you and have a good night.